I'm a Fauci groupie. I'm a thrice vaccinated mask adherent.
The burden of student debt that it is hampering the ability to build wealth.
Donate in order to be able to afford it.
What? What the heck is a Fauci groupie? Also, student loan debt is now back at the forefront of the conversation. We have a great guest coming on to talk about that. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from a dingy bunker completely cut off from the outside world except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in to Daily Caller Live on today. It is December 30th, the year of our Lord 2021. 2021's almost over. This is the year where everything is supposed to be better. Everything's going back to normal. Everything is, the grass is greener on the other side of 2020, they told us. Still waiting for that to happen. I guess there's a day left, so there's that. Maybe it'll come true. We got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about today. The Ghislaine Maxwell trial verdict came in, so that was crazy. People are apparently Fauci groupies on MSNBC. We're going to talk about that. But first, I want to talk about this. We've got a really great guest coming up. Did a hilarious video that I've been talking about for weeks now. Came across the video, and we've got the guy who shot it on with us to talk about this. But I want to play this clip for you really quick. You know the whole free college thing, right? Everybody, all of your left wants free college for everybody. Everyone deserves to go to college, except for nobody wants to pay for it. Check out this, again, hilarious YouTube video, and then we'll discuss the idea of how it would get paid for on the other side. Watch this.
You guys, we have a free college for all petition. Would you like to sign it? Free college tuition petition. Would you guys like to sign it? We're basically taking the step to put our money where our mouth is, you know? So we have a signature, print your name, just an email, and then right here you're going to put the percentage of your salary that you would like to donate annually in order to help pay for free college.
Oh, I can't do that.
You can't do that?
No.
Oh, okay. Any of you guys want to do that? Email, and then the percentage of your salary that you would like to donate.
Oh, you want us to donate, or?
Yeah, because you know, basically a percentage of your salary, annual salary that you'd like to donate in order to
this,
pay for it.
Pay for it? No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So no.
Yeah.
All right. No worries at all. She split, crossed everything out. Yeah, someone's got to pay for this stuff. So apparently it's not her.
Because you know what? Someone's paying for it. And you know what happens? When you get my age, you're paying for everyone's college.
Don't you think it's fair for you guys, hardworking Americans, to pay for illegal immigrants free college?
I'm going to slap you silly.
Facetious.
For your colleges?
Yeah.
For everybody?
Yeah.
Free?
Yeah. Print the name, signature, email, and then the additional percentage of your salary that you'd like to donate in order to be able to afford it.
What?
So that is a dive into asking people, do you want free college? Of course, everybody wants free college. And then you ask, well, would you like to help pay for it? They say no. Lucky for us today, we've got the creator of that guy, the guy in the video. James Klug himself is here with us, joining us live, not in studio, but remote, because, you know, that's the way the world works. James, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm over here laughing at my own video. That might be just super weird of someone to do, but I love watching the retreat on their faces as soon as you bring up, oh, you got to pay for it though. Someone's got to pay for it.
So we've been talking about this on this show since its inception. All this fanciful spending coming from the federal government. What gave you the idea to actually go ask people, how much would you like to donate to support college for everyone?
You know, because everyone keeps using the term free for all these things, right? I mean, when it comes to politicians getting elected, we're seeing more and more of this where it's like, oh, well, we can just buy their vote if we do X, Y, and Z. Well, obviously, free college or student loan forgiveness is a big one. They keep rephrasing these things to really, it's just like, hey, we're going to make other taxpayers pay for this. So we made it a little bit more personal, and in doing so, we actually brought reality to it. Somebody's got to pay for it. I know you showed a clip that showed over $1.7 trillion of student loan debt. That's increasing by the day, obviously. And someone's got to pay for this stuff. And as soon as these people figure out, oh, wait, well, hold on, it's not my neighbor paying for it, it's me. Obviously, it's a fake petition and all that stuff. It's not real. However, it does bring a little bit of reality to the situation. So
yeah, so people in the comment section seem to agree. I don't know if you saw me bring up a couple of those. Pete says, pay your loan. You made your loan, pay it yourself. Dan says, I paid off my student loan. Please don't make me pay for someone else's. James, I don't know if you saw this a couple months ago when Elizabeth Warren was doing something. She was talking about canceling student debt, as if the federal government could do that, which they can't, but that's a different topic for a different time. But somebody was asking, so I paid off my student loans. Do I get a refund? Now, I would imagine your student loans might be paid off. Do you think you're getting a refund if this stuff goes through? Or is this just, if you paid it off, you're a sore loser and that's just, it sucks to be you?
Well, you know what? That individual that said, hey, I paid off my student loans, I paid for my college. You rock. That's exactly how you're supposed to do it. You're the person that decided to go to college. You're the person that's paying for it. And hopefully you got into a field where it's rewarding for you. Now, when it comes to expecting other people to foot the bill for college, what are these other, what are the millions, probably hundreds, but tens of millions of Americans that have already paid off their college? What do they get? Do they get reimbursements? Probably not. They get totally ripped off. And when it comes to expecting the rest of Americans to foot the bill, not only people that have already paid for college, but people that never went to college, actually including me. I didn't go to college. I don't see why I need to be paying for somebody else to go get their Alaskan basket weaving major. That's probably not real, but if it was, I would maybe take the class, but I certainly wouldn't get a major in it. There's a lot of people that are getting majors and degrees just because they want a degree, and that aspect of kind of American education absolutely needs to change for sure.
So, James, I'll tell you one thing. If you decide to go get a degree in Alaskan basket weaving, I personally will help you fund that endeavor, because I believe that is something that if you want to do it, you should be able to do it. But you touched on a couple different points. I've been saying this for months. Well, since we started doing the show for months, I've been saying it for years. This is the least progressive thing liberals have ever pushed. You're talking about college-educated elites getting bailed out by blue-collar workers. Isn't that the exact opposite of the liberal platform that they've had for literally decades? I've got some statistics for you that I'd like you to react to. This is from a piece that Jonah Goldberg from the Dispatch did in the Los Angeles Times a couple months ago. They were talking about this piece referring to the Build Back Venezuela plan. But Jonah Goldberg said, in 2016, Vox polled Bernie Sanders supporters for nationalized healthcare and free college tuition. They didn't poll the public. They polled Bernie Sanders' own supporters. Not surprisingly, respondents favored single-payer healthcare. But when asked what they'd be willing to pay for it, the support dropped significantly. Two-thirds of the people polled, again, these are Bernie Sanders supporters, said that the additional amount that they'd be willing to pay was $1,000 per year, so $83 a month. James, do you think that $83 a month from people is going to cover nationalized health care?
No, and that's the funniest part is that's kind of the point of that is the point of that video that we did, is it really does show, oh, well, I thought my neighbor was going to pay for it. Oh, I thought this guy that didn't go to college was going to pay for it. Oh, I thought someone else was going to pay for it. Anybody but me. As soon as I bring up that question, they retreat, and it really is crazy to see on camera. And by the way, I didn't spend all day grabbing that one video when it comes to, oh, we got to find these perfect people. It was actually relatively easy to find individuals that wanted free college or whatever it was paid for by other taxpayers. And as soon as they heard that they had to pay for it, they absolutely retreated. And just like that study suggests, when people kind of realize that it's very expensive, they have to pay for it. I think the average student loan debt in this country is probably around like $35,000, $40,000. As soon as they realize, oh, wow, this is really expensive, I got to pay for it, a lot of people retreat from that. So
Want to hit you with another quick statistic. The government spent $6.8 trillion in 2021, or at least what their fiscal plan is. Billionaires, all of the billionaires, and obviously people have been making money over the last couple of years, especially with the pandemic thing. That's, again, a different conversation. But all of the billionaires in the United States combined are worth about $5 trillion. So this idea of somebody else is going to pay for it generally falls on, well, the rich. The rich will pay for it. Except for the fact that if the entire billionaire class in the country were to get every single penny confiscated for them, it would run the government for less than a year. Do you have any thoughts on that idea of, well, the rich will just pay for it, especially given the fact that we know that they physically can't do it. It's not actually possible.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up. Okay, so any economist that looks at this, that's like honest at all, knows that this trickles down to the middle class. It's obvious because the upper class, the top 1%, can't afford to pay for all this stuff. I don't really think that's actually the point of these social programs, in my personal opinion. So this can be a hot take really quick. When it comes down to this stuff, we're $25 trillion in debt, and probably more at this point. I'd have to double check. It's basically like being tens of millions of dollars in debt personally and going out and be like, you know what? I think I want a Ferrari collection for sure. Like, this is the right thing for me to do right now. Anybody that's really looking at this is like, well, hold on, we're way too in debt. We can't afford any of this stuff. And you want all these fancy things. Why don't we have this conversation when we've paid off our debts? And I think that kind of lies the point. I don't think that's the point. I think the point is to pretty much drive this ship into the ground so they can restructure it how they would like America to be. Just in my personal opinion, that's kind of how it looks, because nothing really makes sense. We can't afford it. They're pushing for it. And there's not even a proper strategy to afford it in this country because the top 1% can't possibly pay for it.
Well, with the whole Build Back Better, Build Back Venezuela, as I like to call it, Bill, there are a couple comments that politicians, AOC made some comments that I actually agreed with, is the way we're doing things is out of whack. In past legislation, when it comes to spending bills, the federal government would say, all right, we need this, and this is how much money we need for that. This particular spending bill is crazy because we decided to start off with a number and then figure out what we're going to spend it on later. And we're arguing over the number without actually having any feasible reasons for spending it. It's like if you were telling your wife, well, I want to spend $40,000. And then your wife said, no, I think we should spend $50,000 without even suggesting what you're going to spend it on. So your idea, the fact that this whole thing is out of whack on purpose, I think actually might carry some ground there, with everything going on. I want to play this last clip while I got you. This is Representative Sheila Jackson out of Texas talking about the student loan debt crisis. Back to kind of the original video we had on. Listen to this really quick, and then we'll get your take on the other side.
The burden of student debt reaches deep into communities of color. Increasing evidence suggests that it is hampering the ability to build wealth. One of the reasons my good friend and myself are also interested in the idea of the Commission to Study Slavery and Develop Reparation Proposals is to get a roadmap of some of the population.
I think it cut out for me. Bob.
Yeah, sorry about that. It did cut out for a second. We still got people on here watching, but anyways, that was Sheila Jackson talking about the college debt, which again was the whole reason we brought you on. So since we can't watch that again, just because I think we'll freeze out and cut out again. Do you have any final thoughts for us with in the line of the government paying for free things, but at the same time also just in broader strokes? Any final words for us, James?
Well, I think ultimately when it comes down to these people, let's see, where do we start? Joe Biden, as we know, retreated from the, quote, student loan forgiveness, even though people have had a break on their student loans for over a year now. And he got a lot of backlash from the progressive base. And that progressive base is crucial in 2022 as well as 2024. I think people should prepare to be disappointed in some level of, taxpayer-funded student loan forgiveness in 2022. I think that Joe Biden is definitely going to be pursuing something like that to satisfy that more progressive base, whether we like it or not. That progressive base is loud, and they have a lot of say when it comes to, let's say, the squad in Congress. These people do have a lot of sway with their base, and they are going to most likely end up doing something. So people definitely need to prepare for some type of student loan forgiveness. If you went to college and you paid it off and you worked hard and you did it the right way, be prepared to be upset about that. So just that, I think, is something good to keep in mind, because they're definitely going to be pursuing it.
Oh, I agree, and I think it might backfire on them too. I think it's going to get people pushed in the wrong direction when they 100%. Find out, holy cow, wait a minute, I got to pay for Joe Schmo's, I got to pay for James Klug's Alaskan basket weaving degree.
That's exactly right.
James, thanks so much for coming on with us. James Klug, independent reporter, but also at Newsmax, I think. Where can we find you?
Check me out, youtube.com/James Klug, KLUG. That's where you guys can find me, or Instagram @James Klug.
Awesome, James. Thanks so much for taking the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
That was James Klug. If you missed the video at the front, go ahead and rewatch that on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever it is that you're watching this. Did a hilarious video where he was asking people, do you believe in free college education? And pretty much everybody was like, yes, we love that. Thank you. And then he said, how much are you willing to pay for it out of your own annual salary? And everyone was like, none, actually. You can watch that whole video on his YouTube account. To get to not necessarily more lighter fare, but I guess kind of funny, check this out. This is a new term that I didn't know existed, and I'm not really entirely sure what it is. Nicole Wallace of MSNBC said something kind of ridiculous. She called herself a Fauci groupie. You know what? I'm just going to let you watch it and see for yourself what she said on MSNBC. Check this clip out. We'll talk about it on the other side.
Jason, you see how difficult this is for this administration. I mean, I'm a Fauci groupie. I'm a thrice vaccinated mask adherent. I buy KN95 masks by the, caseload. They're in every pocket. I wear them everywhere except when I sit down. And I am certain that this is not a variant I can outrun. And I wonder where you think the sort of conversation is heading at this moment, Jason.
Oh, that's such a weird and awkward thing for an MSNBC anchor to say. Again, Nicole Wallace calling herself, I'm a Fauci groupie. I have masks in every single pocket. The KN95 masks, I wear them everywhere except for when I sit down, because we all know the COVID can't get you when you're sitting down in places such as restaurants. But, okay, here's the problem with your mainstream media nowadays. One of the many problems that you have with the mainstream media. Given the fact that their political ideology and the political bent is so apparent, how are you supposed to believe anything they're saying, even when something is important? Look, I would like to know, this show, I have a political perspective. We've got a perspective that we take in the media from, but at the same time, I have no business being dishonest with you or being unfair. Having said that, that is not the standard elsewhere. You look at MSNBC, you look at places like CNN, you look at your alphabet networks and all that sort of jazz, and you have such an unfair advantage or a political ideology bent that you can't even believe them if they're telling the truth. This is just another example of a Fauci groupie, as she calls herself, discussing things that are actually probably pretty important. Yesterday, if you didn't watch yesterday, you can go back and watch it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you watch things. We talked a lot about actual COVID stuff that I think was actually important, and I hope that you would take that information as best to the truth as we can get, because again, we talked about the highest cases, we talked about a bunch of different things that happened yesterday, but the whole point of it is trying to be fair in the information. Now, our analysis, again, has a perspective, but being fair is the entire objective here, which is not what you get when you call yourself a quote-unquote Fauci groupie. Now, just for funsies, I looked up the Urban Dictionary definition of a groupie. And given the fact that Nicole Wallace called herself a Fauci groupie, maybe, just maybe, we can attribute this definition to her. Urban Dictionary says a young woman who seeks to achieve status by having relations with celebrities, roadies, securities, and other band-related guys. Can we take from this definition that Nicole Wallace of MSNBC is having relations with Dr. Fauci? I don't know, but that's what the internet says the definition is. The self-proclaimed groupie matches that definition via Urban Dictionary. Again, clearly all of this is a joke. We're making fun of a ridiculous thing that a news anchor on MSNBC said. Please write your angry emails to wherever. I don't care. This is clearly a joke. So to move on with that, I want to talk about this. This is a big piece of news that came out yesterday that not a ton of people were paying attention to. The Ghislaine Maxwell trial. The jury came to a verdict yesterday. A jury of New York federal court has found Ghislaine Maxwell guilty on 5 of 6 counts related to her role in Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse of minor girls between 1994 and 2004. Maxwell, 60, was found guilty on 5 federal charges: sex trafficking of a minor, transporting a minor with the intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, and 3 related counts of conspiracy. She was acquitted on 1 of the sex acts or illegal sex acts, but she now faces up to 65 years in federal prison. She was said to have shown no reaction when the verdict was read, and the judge has not set a sentencing date. Here's the thing that I think is interesting about this case. Really quick, if you haven't hit the like button or the little angry face button or the laughing button, and depending on how you feel today, please do that now. It helps us reach more people, and we know that you have liberal friends out there that need to hear this sort of information. So hit that little like button, hit the little share button thing. It really helps us out, helps us stay on the air, keep doing what we're doing. But what I really thought was interesting about this Ghislaine Maxwell case is what Jack Posobiec of Human Events Daily pointed out. He said, the FBI now has 20,000 images from Epstein's Manhattan mansion, multiple hard drives, and CDRs. All of that is sealed. Now, I think, and I think a lot of you would agree, that there's some incriminating information in all of those 20,000 images, hard drives, CDRs that were found in the Epstein mansion. I would like to, well, I'm not even going to go, I'm just going to say that it is pretty dang curious that all of this stuff is being sealed in the federal, I think it's the FBI, but it's all being sealed and kept from the public view. So we'll see how this plays out. Again, Ghislaine Maxwell found guilty on 5 of the 6 counts, looking at 65 years in prison. She'll probably die in prison. That's, what does that make her? 125 years old? Probably won't get out before that if the maximum penalty was given to her. But I think the point remains that I would like to see all of that incriminating evidence that they found in Epstein's mansion come out at some point, just to see what's in there. Transitioning really quick to this is another interesting thing, again, from the Twitter internet verse. Twitter, sorry about that. Twitter has suspended mRNA vaccine inventor Robert Malone. Not a ton of this story. So, well, let me give you a little bit of information. Malone, who again invented the mRNA vaccine, will appear on Joe Rogan's show Thursday, according to his associate. So today, he's going to be on Joe Rogan talking about anything and everything. I think he was on Brett Weinstein's podcast. If you listen to that, maybe you should. Dark Horse podcast, really, really good. Of course, after you listen to this show's podcast, you can find it on any podcast platform, anywhere you find your podcast, you can find this show. But Malone was suspended from Twitter yesterday. He had 520,000 followers. He's been an outspoken critic of both mRNA vaccines. I believe it's the Pfizer and Moderna that are mRNA vaccines, as well as the failures of policymakers worldwide in responding to the pandemic. So here's the question I have for social media. How does this help? Seriously, I don't know how Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of these social media platforms that are censoring people, how do you think that helps your point of view? If you want to push vaccines and you want to push the reasoning behind people want to get vaccines, that's fine. You should let people do that. But then taking away detractors from your platforms only makes you look suspicious. When you ban somebody that disagrees with you from your platform, all that does is make you look really suspicious. It doesn't actually help your argument. We saw this with the FBI in the 60s and 70s when they were doing some pretty not cool things, and then you've got your, I'm not going to get into that. That's basically, the FBI was shown to be super intrusive, and that didn't help the FBI's case. In the same way, Twitter banning somebody who doesn't agree with their narrative doesn't help their narrative. And again, I'm not pro the Twitter narrative. I'm just saying, if I were Twitter, I would let all of the people talk all the time. Obviously, you can't have people threatening, making actual credible physical threats. But other than that, let it fly. And guess what? If you have better arguments, your arguments will win the day. That's what I think. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you don't think better arguments ultimately will win, and therefore you have to censor people. But I don't tend to think that. I think the American people are smarter than you'd expect, and they would understand good arguments versus bad arguments. But when you ban people from a platform, all you're doing is fueling the fire for the conspiracy theorists that you so much want to quell. The only thing you're doing is giving them more fire and more ammunition to run on, because they know they know that if their ideas weren't true, they wouldn't be being censored. Long-winded rant on that. Let me see if there's any comments that we can read. I know I try to check these periodically, but you know what? It's a little bit difficult to try and read things from the comment section and also from the this component. So let me see. I think that's pretty much it. Yesterday, we forgot to mention that Harry Reid, former senator, not the Lion of the Senate, that's Ted Kennedy, but influential senator, passed away. Same with John Madden. We didn't get that on the show yesterday, but that was some breaking news. If you hadn't heard about that, then there's that. Let's see. I think that's going to do it for us today. We'll be back here tomorrow with anything that happens over the weekend. Sorry, it's Thursday. Guess we'll be back here tomorrow. The last day, the last show of the year. Maybe we'll do I know I teased this a couple weeks ago when we first went on our Christmas break, and now that we're not back from Christmas break, back early from the Christmas break, maybe we'll be talking about, maybe we'll have tomorrow some lighter fare. Maybe we'll have some clips of the year type stuff, but we'll see. We'll see how lazy I am in setting up the show tomorrow. But that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate everybody continuing to stay on with us, especially when we have technical difficulties like we had today. Sometimes it gets difficult. Doing a live show on the internet is tough. But thanks for sticking around with us through the technical difficulties. Really appreciate you watching. We'll be back here tomorrow. We'll see you then. God bless America.